Someone's gonna die, I just didn't know which one. Hi, I'm Avaris Harkay. This is It Paints Me by Endesis. It was a submission to Scream Jam 2023. Looks like it won Best Story and third for Best Game. It looks like a visual novel. The art is dreary, but beautiful. And apparently we play as a painter. So we're gonna take a look-see. Ooh. This game contains themes and depictions of violence, death, body horror, chronic illness, grief, and dysfunctional relationships. Ooh. Clicky clack. Start. Every night, I find myself alone in the studio, curtains drawn tight, my neat row of paints, palette, and brushes in the same place on the drawer by the easel. The canvas upon it sits, as always, unfinished, Marie's half-painted face frozen in silent song. It's late out, as it always is when I awaken here. Marie is nowhere to be found. She must still be at the theater. Even when the curtains fall and the stage lights dim, the night is forever young to its star sopranos. I would always wait outside her dressing room, roses in hand, scores of other bright-eyed admirers spilling through the halls, though she alone was mine. And I was hers. Okay, so we got a love story going on here. I bet it ends tragically, though. Listen to that music. It's cold, bitterly cold tonight, but still I draw the curtains and open the windows wide. There's a stench in the room, deep and damp and sickly sweet, that I can't ever seem to be rid of. Why, did you commit murder and hide them under the floorboards? I mean, weirder things have happened in Edgar Allan Poe. Besides that, the fumes from the linseed oil make my head spin. Like every night, I measure out my paints, arranging the small dabs of color on my palette from lightest to darkest. Titanium white and cadmium yellow to corpse brown and lamp black. I wet my brush with oil and gently start mixing the pigments. It feels just a little bit like magic, watching them swirl and mix, forming new colors from old. I paint her hair, I paint her face. I don't know what these options mean at this stage. I guess her hair would potentially be emblematic of, like, her beauty or something? Because it's part of her, but it's not essence of a person, you know? Like, when people talk about the eyes or the smile or their laugh, etc. So maybe painting the face is better. They're both very physical characteristics, though, when you say the hair or the face. But, I don't know. We'll see where this goes. I mix a tone as warm as her cheeks as I envision Marie's sweet face in my mind's eye. Her lips like roses, the graceful turn of her nose, those eyes that glittered like stars under candlelight. It's no use. I can't focus. Her features are as blurred in my mind as the mess of oil and pigment smeared across my canvas. Did you murder her? I sigh and scrape it off with a palette knife, and mix a deep blend of black and red for the background instead. Oh, yeah, the most brilliant way to start drawing something. Start with the background. Not gonna knock methods. That actually might work for some people very, very well. Giving them the space to live in first. I apply my paint with a generous dab of oil, but it seems I didn't have to. The canvas is still wet from the last night, and the night before. I must have painted and repainted the same background countless times. Oh, that's not a good sign. To say it's difficult to paint by lamplight, my muse nowhere in sight, is an understatement, of course. But lately, these nightly hours are the only time I find myself able to lift my brush. I stop every few strokes.
Spirits, it hurts.
I had joked that the pain forced me away from the tailor's shop, meant I could finally return to my paintings at the very least. I was never any good at humor. Marie had sensed my worries, consoled me sweetly in her voice that could charm stone to life.
Oh, Sam, don't worry. I have roles lined up for months. Go ahead and paint. We can still live comfortably.
Aw. She seems like a really nice person. It hurt. A small part of it did. Beyond the physical. Beyond the ailments to seek her permission. Whoa, you resented her for supporting you guys? That is a bad attitude to have. To be unable to care for my darling, the way I had when we were young, brimming with talent but crushingly unknown. Well, she had been. I was, and still am, nothing. That sucks, dude, but, you know, didn't a lot of artists, like, they died before they actually saw any kind of interest in their art? Like, there was a whole bunch of them where it was like, they just didn't get to enjoy that fame or notoriety or money during their lifetime. But they're, like, really prolific and known about afterwards. Them's the breaks. Sorry, dude. But perhaps, finally, it would now be my turn to bring my vision to the world. If only it didn't hurt so damned much. Time passes, and I still don't manage more than a few strokes. A small patch of dark over an already wet canvas. Or perhaps time hasn't passed at all. The broken clock on the wall would suggest as much. Perhaps the seconds have lain still. The world outside unchanging, and I, the only thing that moves. Have I moved? Is repeating the same brushstrokes like a clockwork doll movement? I shiver and sigh. Perhaps sleep would be a better endeavor. Perhaps the next night will meet more success. I stand, setting aside my paints and palette, and slowly move to shut the windows. I stop. We may have made the wrong decision with the paint the face instead of the hair. Like, maybe it was the idea of go with something that might be a little easier. So, for example, the drawing already had the hair mostly formed, but the face was missing. So, maybe we should have done that. I don't know. There, out in the front garden, barely lit by a street lamp, stands a figure that can only be Marie. She bids goodbye to another figure, tall and broad-shouldered, and then she laughs. A beautiful laugh, a heartfelt laugh, and embraces him before he makes his reluctant exit on a carriage stopped by the gate. I'm gonna guess you're jealous over nothing. For a moment, I don't know what to think. That she has an acquaintance and she said goodbye? It doesn't matter if he's interested. She seems like she's faithful to you, so you should trust her as much as she trusts you. A friend, a co-star, perhaps that amiable tenor she mentioned every now and then. I didn't see his face, but Marie's social circle had always eclipsed my own. Well, all the more reason to give her the benefit of the doubt then. You don't know who that was. It must be. But why would he come to our home? To drop her off? You don't want her walking alone at night? Why would she laugh that way? Because they're friends? Oh, so pretty. In the garden, in the midst of walking to the front door, humming to herself, Marie suddenly looks up. For a moment her eyes go wide, and she blinks as if shaking herself from a daze. I instinctively step back from the windows. Why? She might have smiled at you after that. She was just surprised you're still awake at this hour. Jeez. Perhaps it's guilt that makes me do so. Marie is finally home and, oh, I've missed her so. How could the first thing I think upon seeing my darling be the worst thoughts my mind could conjure? I don't know, dude. I think you need, like, counseling or something. For the first time in many, many nights, I feel just well enough to leave the studio. I'll prepare Marie a pot of her favorite chamomile tea. I'll listen as she tells me of the nights, the theater, the 1,000 small anecdotes she never runs out of, and maybe, just maybe, ask her again to sit for a portrait for me, like she used to. She might be tired, but okay. The house feels larger than it used to. Perhaps I was shut in the studio too long. Still, how could I so quickly become a stranger to my own home? The memories are fuzzy. The years blur together like a wash of oil colors. My mother and I carrying our sparse luggage, stepping inside for the first time. My stepfather, laughing, his elbows on the breakfast table, chattering over something he'd read in the paper. Then silent hallways and empty rooms. And then myself, welcoming my new bride to these solitary halls, hanging our newly taken portraits above the mantel. Dude, you married her? Come on. Trust her a little then. She chose you. The walls are barren now. So, 'cause you had to, like, sell them in order to put food on the table? I mean, hard times are hard. Shouldn't have bearing on your relationship. Yikes. I feel the walls in the dark, leaving sticky trails of paint behind, tracing the places where I used to hang. The photographs or the paintings. I don't know what significance these choices are. I think it's probably all gonna end up being symbolic. Okay, so the main character is clearly suffering from some form of, like, depression, or something's going on with him mentally. He is not doing well. So if we made the wrong choice earlier, where it is literally, it should have been draw her hair, start with something that is maybe easier than the thing that is more difficult to capture, just to, you know, get something out there and maybe feel like, hey, there's been some progress. What would be good here? If it was paintings, I want to say that probably means he would have been, like, it would have been his art. Like, thinking about how prolific he might have been able to be in the past might be a depressing thought to dwell on. The photographs, on the other hand, could be something that is just, they're put away somewhere. Either way, we know that something happened to them. Paintings could have been sold, photographs could just be put away. Paintings would indicate that he's doing well, but he's not. Photographs, I'm worried about what that might mean for their relationship. Which one would he be less upset about parting with? Geez, I don't know. Wrong decisions only. Clearly it's the paintings. The paintings I'd framed, the seaside landscape I'd painted on our honeymoon, the watercolor sketch of Marie that couldn't hope to capture the sheen of her hair. Oh, okay, so either way, he probably would have been unable to draw it. Okay, great. The still life of candles and flowers that had wilted because it took so long to finish. Even the painting of roses in a vase, the first gift I had ever given her.
I wanted to bring you some flowers, but I was afraid they would wilt before I saw you next.
You painted them. Oh, they're beautiful, Sam.
Sam and Marie. The naked walls stare blankly at me. Confused, but with nowhere else to go, I continue through the house. As I walk, I pass the furniture my stepfather left me. The shelves and tables that always seemed so large and grand as a boy, now missing or mantled in thick white linen. They remind me of corpses on a hospital table, lying dead, still, covered in sheets. Marie? I try to call out, but phlegm blocks my throat. I cough, long and drawn and wet, and then once more attempt to voice her name. Marie? It slicks off my tongue like a serpent uncoiling. I had always loved her name, so tender and sweet, free of harsh syllables. Marie. It was a name like an impressionist fleur, painted in soft strokes with a fine oil brush. It was the greatest joy in the world to join my name to hers. Silence fills the hall, a long, drawn-out silence, a held breath. I guess it could also be played straight, and they really are just falling apart because he's falling apart, and everything's just a horrible snowball of horribleness. Darn it. We'll see what happens. Finally, my darling answers.
Sam. Is this a dream?
I cough again, another long, wet trail dripping from my lips. Does he have the TB and he can die? You know, consumption and all that? That sucks. I don't know.
Is it a good dream, darling?
I don't know. It feels like a nightmare. An awful, wretched nightmare.
I don't know what's going on. Maybe it'll be explained as we go on. I limp towards the sound of her voice, so musical, so lovely, even at the brink of tears. Don't cry, darling, I want to say, but thick, syrupy liquid fills my throat. No matter what troubles you, I am here. She stands at the edge of the staircase, shaking, a candlestick in hand. The steps are sticky and wet. I inch carefully, practically at a crawl not to slip. My darling lifts the candle as I approach. In the dark of the house, its flickering flame almost blinds me. I don't see the expression on her face as she screams.
Marie? Where are you, my darling?
Every word feels like a dagger puncturing my throat. I limp down each hall, leaving a trail of steps that feel damp and heavy, slick and wet. Oh, did she, like, slip on the staircase, fall, and, like, die? Someone's gonna die, I just didn't know which one. I try the door to our bedroom. No, Marie's room. I had started sleeping in the spare one when my coughing fits would wake her in the night. It was cold. So cold. Alone. But my darling needed her rest. The knob is slick and hard to twist, my hand slipping on the brass. Finally, I manage to push the door open. Though it's completely dark when I peer inside, I know it is empty. No warmth, no flesh, no sound of sweet breath within. I continue down the hall. I trudge, my steps heavy and wet, trying not to slip over the thick, slick surface.
Marie? What's wrong, darling? Please, come out. I don't understand.
The dining room is empty. Truly empty. The shelves where the china and silverware were, once neatly stacked, now gape hollow. The walnut table is covered in a thick white sheet, the matching set of chairs removed. I rest against the blanketed table. My hand leaves a ruddy smear against the sheet. It must be more paint, though it's hard to make out in the dark. Now that's blood. That's definitely blood. I think your house is, like, full of that stuff, though. Yikes. I'd needed spectacles for quite some time, but Marie had never liked the bookish type. It doesn't matter! You get glasses if you need them! And if you can afford them and stuff. I don't know what era this is. Edwardian? Victorian? Anyway. I continue on through the familiar yet unfamiliar house. My steps strained and slow, my breaths short, sticky, wet.
Marie! Where are you? Oh, Marie, it hurts. Won't you come to me?
I hear the front door slam shut. Oh, did she get murdered, or... 'Cause what was the scream about? I'm convinced something happened to her, though. But it may not... Ooh. I can't go back. There is a sound effect there, though. Sorry. It must be freezing cold out. Why has she gone to the garden? I don't know, man. I'm gonna... But this almost seems like there was some sort of murder that went on, and because he's not seeing too well, and he's not hearing and feeling too well, he's just not aware that, something has literally attacked them, maybe. Or someone, rather. I don't know. We'll see. I tread to the sound with new urgency, uncaring of the sticky, wet floors, forgetting for just a moment the pain that snaps and burns through my flesh. I reach for the oily, damp knob.
Don't! Sam! Please!
She's alive? Okay. The scream? Oh, her voice rings from behind the door. Okay, she was attacked, something happened, and he didn't see. Ooh. This, yeah, only bad things.
I don't understand, darling. Have I done something to upset you?
Her sobs echo loudly. I never thought an ugly sound could come from my darling's lips, but her words...
I love you, Sam. I always will. But I can't bear to see you like this.
I thought something happened to you, Marie. I get that there's something that's constantly happening to Sam. Or maybe it's more than what he's telling us. Maybe he's an unreliable narrator to an extent.
Please, I beg of you, return to where you came.
Yeah, considering what she said earlier about it being a ghost or this, that, or the other, maybe he's already dead or something. I don't know.
You can't be here. I've moved on now.
Then what's with the paint and his stepfather's furniture and stuff? Okay.
What? Return where? Dearest, you aren't making any sense. Moved on? I'm your husband, Marie. What on earth is there to move on from?
You a ghost, Sam?
Please remember, Sam.
You divorced?
You were ill. You were ill for a long, long time. And you never recovered.
I know I'm unwell, Marie. But you said we would still...
You died. He did. He's a ghost.
Are you leaving me? Because I can't care for you anymore? Is that it?
You left me.
Because he died?
You're dead, Sam.
Called it.
You've been dead for more than a year.
If this is a joke, darling, it's a cruel one. Do you want me dead? Is that it? Am I better off dead to you?
My darling does nothing but sob behind the door. How quickly I regret my words. Oh, if only I could see her face, look into her eyes, reassure her, and see that she loves me still. I'm sure she does, but if this is a corpse bride situation, you need to let go. I twist the knob with slick, oily hands.
No! Don't come out! Please!
Yeah, and he's a specter that's, like, constantly covered in blood. That's Poor girl. I think she did love her husband. It's just, he's dead and she's literally just being haunted by, like, a bloody specter of him. That sucks for everyone involved. On the other end, with a sharp gasp, my darling grasps the knob closed, pushing the weight of her small frame against the weathered wood.
Don't come out!
Force the door open or let her go. Well, this is clearly the bad end, where she's just, you know, her ghost husband just comes back forever and blows the door off the hinges. Seems like we really are a ghost in this situation. We just need to let her go and figure out where we go from here, even if it looks like Wraith from the tabletop RPG. You know, it's fine. Let her go. I let go of the door, my hand slicking off its oily surface.
Forgive me, Marie. I can see that you don't want to speak to me right now. But whenever you do, whatever this is about, I'll be waiting in the studio.
I leave the door. I leave my darling alone, sobbing in the garden. It's dark, so very dark, but dawn will soon paint that dim black sky. Ew. Slight misophonia warning would have been nice. I retrace my slick, wet footsteps through the hall, up the staircase, one trudging, damp step at a time.
Spirits, it hurts.
It burns. I feel no breath in my lungs. My chest could be a hollow cavity, slippery and wet, spilling with hot, sickly fluid.
It hurts. Oh, it hurts.
I stagger into a tall, sheet-covered object, the linen sliding off with the grasp of my clumsy, slick fingers. It's Marie's floor-length mirror.
No. Oh, no.
Finally confronted with the truth, Sam?
No, 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 no!
Ooh. Oh, that is beautiful. I mean, horrific and terrible, absolutely. But, I mean, the art is gorgeous. So, you know. I am looking respectfully at your lungs, sir. Well, that was intense and cool. I'm in the studio. A dark, dim studio. As empty as it is every night. The curtains are shut. The lamps are unlit. My palette is a mess of murky colors. Rust reds, corpse browns. A musky, sickly sweet, rotting stench fills the room. That would be you, Mr. Poltergeist. Apologies. I don't know why the smell of linseed oil ever bothered me. After all, I no longer breathe. The handle of the door turns behind me. Slowly, it creaks open, and a figure steps inside. It's me. Never mind, apparently we have a doppelganger? Ooh, I just realized that's his mouth. That is cool. I mean, that is, there's a word that is actually appropriate for the situation, but I just think it looks so cool. Oh, more misophonia. I kind of like it, though. It's like something out of Sayano Uta, which I kind of really appreciate. He limps more than he steps in crooked motions against the floor, dragging his body along like a wet, wide brush, as swaths of red pool at his feet. I watch him pull himself before the canvas.
Samuel.
Huh? Icon of affliction. He speaks in my mother's voice, a tone that could swell with warmth or derision, command or dependency, pride or disappointment in a moment's notice. She sounds mercurial.
Please, give up your suffering. Give up this. Come back to the earth with me.
I don't like it. My hands are too slick to hold my brush. I stab it into my flesh and fix it between my bones, then dip the bristles into his blood.
Sammy.
Icon of Algesia.
Algesia.
He speaks in my stepfather's voice, but without laughter or joy. In the same cadence I imagined him taking his last breath, crimson staining his uniform, the dog tags cold around his neck.
Don't suffer anymore, Sam. You are nothing already. Forget your pain. Return to the void with us.
Seems pretty normal that a poltergeist has unfinished business and just can't let go, can't move on. Still sucks, but yeah. My brush is drying. I plunge it into his chest, wet with his oily breath.
Sam?
Icon of agony. He speaks with my voice, hoarse and raspy and tired. So very, very tired.
This won't make you worthy of love. Not the world's, not Marie's, not your friends or peers or critics. Come back to our grave. End our suffering. You know I don't do this for love.
I clean my brush with the paint thinner, knocking over the jar as it spills across the drawer and onto the wet, soaken floor. I dry the bristles on my worn, rotting shirt, then soak it in the thick, white mucus of his tears. My words are only partially true, just as his words are not fully wrong. Neither my rotting corpse, nor the memory of what once was Sam, will gain a thing from this toil. I paint the hours away, or perhaps take no time at all. The clock on the wall never turns its hands, suggesting that the world lies still, the seconds never pass, and I am the only thing that moves within it. It hurts. Oh, it hurts. Heavy, syrupy tears flood my vision, fill my throat, my chest, choking me. Every movement of my hands leaves cracks in what's left of my brittle bones. He stares at me all the while, silent, still, like a mirror. If I loved him, I would stop. I would crawl to my grave like he wishes. But I love this more than I love myself. I birth him from within me. As I create, so too am I born.
And he and I are beautiful.
Ending 2, self-portrait. Neat. So that was It Paints Me. Yeah. So, it definitely had me at the mystery aspect. The whole last aspect when he was like a ghost, that was really interesting. Because then it was like his whole family is dead and they're all calling him back. Even he is dead, but he has become something else because he is this urge to paint. And he was painting, which is what he thought made him real, that he was still alive and a person. So it's like, this was the thing that was tying him to the world, and it still does, because he has to capture that ephemerality, that he has to capture that beauty. I don't know if he ever does. Like, maybe that's also part of the cycle, that he will keep trying forever, and that will just keep him bound there in stasis. But then he did seem to like he finally managed to, paint himself at the end there. So, I don't know, this almost feels like a self-actualization ending, where it's like, less than him being bound by his love, less than him being bound by I must capture her likeness, he was more thoroughly trying to understand himself. That's kind of a cool idea right there. I don't know what the other endings are like, but this was a lot of fun. Anyway, I hope to see you next time. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye!